Feminism is like this double-edged sword, like of course we need more women. I mean, that'll like reshape structure of society. I can't really tell what the difference between a man and woman is other than the different social conditioning that we've received of what is it to be a man, like strong, muscular, doesn't cry, so cliched. I've always been told to be like a little close with my body and not sit like this. Be a certain way and be polite and be kind. There are times when I can own the room. I feel like very powerful, but then I know that I cannot express this kind of power with 4 other men in the room because I may lose out on social brownie points. And personally have gotten away with so much because I'm a woman.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of Anand Cast. Today I'm sitting here with Gargi Shah. And Gargi, the first time we met, and the first time I heard you talk about your life, my first thought was that what is an art girly doing among so many tech bros? Do you have an answer to that?
Well, originally I was a tech chick. I've studied in California, in University of California, Santa Barbara, and studied tech. And I kind of really loved it, but the work actually is quite isolating. So I kind of moved away from looking at a screen and racking my heads around an algorithm and trying to make something work, to being around people and doing something for the community. So I kind of identify with tech, but I wouldn't call myself a tech person anymore.
And how is that as an experience? Like, how is it different, spending your time with a computer all day versus spending time talking to people? Like, how does it feel different?
Like if you were in tech versus if you were not in tech?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, tech has a big community. So it does feel like you're a part of a tribe in general. And especially if you're in cutting edge tech, then you're also excited. You're pushing the frontier of human progress. You're kind of being the it person. And so it's quite exciting to be in tech. The downside is that it's generally long hours, you're plugged in, you're in a machine, most of the people have eyes which go bad early, their posture is bad, and it's an isolated life largely. And so while it's exciting intellectually, but physically it's quite draining. Whereas when you're doing something with the community, it's far more engaging, especially if you're a social person, it's a lot more fun. Even if you're not, like I count myself as an introvert, but it's fun to engage with people and hear their ideas and then do something creative, which is more palpable, more touchable with, real world you can touch and feel. So that is the fundamental difference where it's like real and live and here it's more like digital and abstract.
Do you also feel that we see lesser women in tech? And what do you think about that?
You are seeing a lot more women in tech nowadays than it ever was. But yeah, I mean, there are lesser women in general in the world of work, especially in India. In tech, I don't know if it is particularly skewed against in tech, but in the higher echelons, whether it's business, how many women CEOs we know? How many women in the core management team do we know? Similarly, how many women do we know who are in the top, tier of the tech industry? There are a lot of women in tech, but they're probably doing like a little bit of more, as you would call it, like grunt work, like not the cutting edge. But yeah, it's improving. It's improving as with all the things.
A part of me is very feminist, right? So my thought is that is it still enough though? Or there's a long way to go?
Yeah, see, this feminism is like this double-edged sword, like, of course we need more women. I mean, that'll like reshape how we think, how we feel, the whole like structure of society. So why just tech? Everywhere we need more women. Like we need more women in the government to start with. Like whenever I walk on the street, there are like massive annoying billboards of some local dude who's like an MLA or an MP and bhai and bhau
Happy
and all
birthday,
this
yes.
happy birthday and Vardivas. But not ever seen one woman. If rare, some Thai somewhere. So it's like, why even in the local political situation, why are there such few women? So of course we need more women everywhere. But as with everything in the human race, we are evolving towards more inclusivity, and there could always be more done. But if we if we harp too much on that idea, we forget like the progress that we have made, which is huge. Like my mom wouldn't imagine that she would go to work, but I'm like starting my own business. So we've made significant progress in that direction.
So now the next question is a little out there and you can think a little bit about it.
Okay.
What is it like to be a woman?
Wow. It's so in there and yet so out there. Damn it, I never thought of that.
And you have to explain this to a 23-year-old boy.
What is it like to be a woman? Wow, I don't know. I high five. क्या पूछा है? What is it like to be a woman? Honestly, I can't really tell what the difference between a man and woman is, other than the classic biology and the different social conditioning that we've received of what is it to be a man, like strong, muscular, doesn't cry, so cliched because so many men are like non-muscular and would be much better a place if they cried. And so many women, like I've always been told to be like a little closed with my body and not sit like this and be a certain way and be polite and be kind and be nurturing. How it actually is for me is, as a woman, I find myself always at odds with what I ought to be and what I really feel I am. Like there are times when I can own the room, I feel like very powerful, but then I know that I cannot express this kind of power with four other men in the room because it might be upsetting or too much, or I may lose out on social brownie points, which later will come of use. So it's a little bit of a permanent, how do you say, like a conflict and a choice between whether you choose the classic accepted traditional idea of feminine and embody that versus embody who you actually are. And I don't know why just being loud and jumping around and being powerful is not considered womanly. It's because so many women are that. Like we're the same. Like there's no real difference between a man, woman, or the queer community. It's like we're all humans and all humans love to do the same thing. So yeah, to go back to your question, what it feels to be a woman today in India, in Mumbai in 2025 at 40, is to still fight that battle between who I am and who I can safely express myself to be.
Personally, I think one big difference and also less understood difference that I find is that men are very less aware of the role that their gender plays in their lives. When women have constant reminders every day
Yes.
and they have to have it in their awareness when they're going out and about.
Right.
How do you define yourself now as a person?
Wait, so then I'm going to ask you this. What does it mean for you? What does it feel? What does it mean to be a man?
Oh man, it's a complicated question and a complicated answer for me. I've always sort of been at odds with my gender. I wasn't traditionally masculine. I'm not. I'm a softie, as they would say it. I cried in the morning.
Wow,
And-
beautiful.
But yeah, I definitely feel that accessibility. There are so many places that I know that there are so many experiences that I know I can just go and have and not have to think about it and just go ahead and do it. And I see that so many of my female friends don't have that luxury or privilege. That is one big difference for me, I guess. Accessibility. And I know it's one small thing, but it's so omnipresent in all areas of your life. It could start with the kind of clothes you wear. It could also then go to what you're allowed to talk about, what other people are comfortable with you talking about, the kind of jobs you can do. Or as a child, I would always want to edge towards more creative things. Like I would be like, oh, interior design, or like, oh, teaching, like traditionally women, like female dominated fields. And my father would go कि ये तो औरतों वाले काम होते हैं. And then that has also been a constant battle deciding कि अच्छा आदमी वाला काम कौन सा है, औरत वाला काम कौन सा है, मुझे क्या करना है. Now I've grown up and now I don't put myself into these brackets. I'm comfortable with my job. But yeah, now I find myself associating more to my feminine side, and I'm quite comfortable with that too. I don't like men. They suck.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
My answer was all over the place, but that's actually how I feel about it. It's actually that confusing in my head.
I hear you. I feel you. It was not all over the place, and even if it was, I got it. Like, it's hard to define gender. We are so, it's like focusing in this whole picture. We are given a beautiful Dali painting and we have to focus on one thing and we're all describing that one thing. But we're so much more than our gender or genitals. Everybody, it's like too much of compartmentalizing. It's unnecessary. It's like fine. And going back to your point about, how accessible things are for men, now they're not accessible for women, and that is kind of true if you see things literally. However, I feel that, there are things which are sometimes more accessible to women and more possible to do if you are a woman. I mean, I personally have gotten away with so much because I'm a woman. And so what happens is, it's like, you're given a deck of cards if you play poker. Now, whatever cards you have, you're going to play these the best. So if you're given your masculine gender and you can wear whatever, you can do that. If you don't have that ace of spades, then you can't wear all the clothes for you. But within your world, how can you explore? So like, I have gotten away with not having visa to a place and being able to enter the country, or like, getting a few favors here and there at like really high levels. Not because I was sleazy, but just because I looked into somebody's eyes and said, please. And I imagine it will be tricky if you're a guy to get away with this. So while it is easy for men to in general be accessible, accessibility is really omnipresent for them. For women, it's not so hard all the time.
That's a very good point. As a man, as a responsible man, I'm constantly thinking about the mistakes I could be making or the impression that I could be setting wrong. I'm worried ki, okay, am I making someone feel uncomfortable?
We walk too much on eggshells in this whole man and woman thing. Like, even like if you were to hug me versus you were to hug your male friend, there's going to be a difference.
Yeah.
But why, man? It's chill only. Most women are okay, most men are okay, but we've made these like social prototypes and stereotypes ki aise nahi aise, like ye to ladkiyon wale, auraton wale kaam hai, ye mardon wale kaam hai, like. And I'm actually pretty proud of where our society is going at large, because we are, blurring that divide. We are questioning the stereotypes and we are actually acting on it.
Back to the question, like, how do you define yourself as a person? Like, what is your view? What is your objective third person view of yourself?
So I think like values is a good way to evaluate or to understand a person. Like, what are your values? And my first and foremost value is freedom. Like, I should feel that I am free. I am free to do whatever I want. I'm free to smoke a cigarette, but I should even be free to say no to a cigarette. I should be free to do a business, but I should also be free from my own mind and the trappings of my compulsive behavior ki paise chahiye. So this freedom, I'm not yet there, but every day I see this woman, if I were to see myself from like an external lens, and I see this woman who's fighting her battle to discover what freedom means at a very practical level, where I'm free to wear what I want and do what I want and speak what I want and answer the question to what seems right, instead of worrying about how it will be perceived and how many likes it gets. So freedom at all levels, but even at a much deeper level, like, am I free from my own conditioning and how can I act on it? Am I free from my own compulsive behavior कि मुझे रात को scroll करना ही है?
Yeah.
Then that's not freedom. I mean, I'm free to scroll, but am I free enough to say no to it?
Yeah.
So I think like if I were to look at myself, this is like one of my core beliefs. And second is fitness. Like somebody who knows that if you have a fit body, fit mind, and you eat well, sleep well, you're just going to overall increase your standard of living, your life quality. So these are the two things I see this woman as really working towards. And third is, of course, I mean, I'm spiritually inclined. So I meditate about 1 to 2 hours a day and I eat sattvic food. And I mean, as cliched as it sounds, but my goal is self-realization, which in Indian traditional scriptures is called moksha or nirvana. And really, I believe that a lot of souls have discovered who they are through inner work.
Absolutely.
And I'm hoping to reach there in this lifetime.
Did you always have these priorities right for you? Freedom, fitness, and spirituality? Or like have you gotten here after a few things have happened?
I've had like some tough times in life. Well, to be honest, I had imagined my life to be the dream Bollywood movie that I had seen so many times. But और अटक गई मेरी गाड़ी, ऐसा कुछ हुआ नहीं. I got married to my close friend, and then unfortunately, or fortunately is how I like to look at it, things didn't work out. And we actually went to therapy together, and I was afraid of telling others that I'm going to therapy, because back in the day it would be like, oh, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, no, nothing's wrong with me, but I know this is the right thing to do, because clearly the therapist seemed to be getting things out of me and him which we were like suppressing. Therapy was really good, and in therapy we discovered we are not meant for each other, or we've not found a language to speak to each other. We're not on the same page. We're not looking at life in a way that is cohesive for a couple. And we discovered that we want to go the separate path. And while it was a tough decision, it came with so much conviction that it became a beautiful journey. Like, we're still good friends, we still hang out, and our families are still connected. It's like one of the most beautiful divorces or separations. And that's when I discovered that this decision, which was so hard for me, I was married for 7 years, कि 7 साल ना मुझे ये करना था. I knew we're not happily married. I was so damn afraid of the societal consequences कि लोग क्या कहेंगे, मेरे माँ बाप पे क्या गुजरेगी, मेरे घर वालों पे, उसके घर वालों पे, मेरा नाम, I'll be like what they call second hand goods. So I don't know, like the shittiest of things about your own self. And then you power through that, and then you realize that actually it wasn't so hard. Most people don't care. The people you thought who will say so much, you are a side character in their main story. You're the conversation they'll have once on the dinner table, if at all, and inform everyone कि अच्छा गार्गी का divorce हुआ है. And that's it, they'll move on. But for you, you've become free of the relationship that was not working for you. That's when I discovered what really it means to work towards one's own well-being and focus on what works. So yeah, freedom तभी से मुझे समझा कि if you are like a free-spirited soul na, honestly, this kind of contained, whether it's marriage or a job or a certain kind of structure, it didn't work for me. And I don't see myself getting married, not because I love men, I love like relationships, but I can't see it being like a forced structure with a legal government document.
Institution of marriage, yeah.
Institution कि भाई तुम किसी की बहू हो, तुम किसी की daughter in law, तुम किसी की नलन फलन, ये सब नहीं. प्यार मोहब्बत में जिएंगे और नहीं जमा तो देखेंगे, बट ऐसा शादी का इंस्टीट्यूशन नहीं करेंगे. सो दैट्स व्हेन आई डिस्कवर्ड लाइक थोड़ा फ्री चाहिए लाइफ, ये नहीं होगा हमसे.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, divorce and separation has such a bad reputation, and they're like so many love marriages end in divorce, because a part of love is letting go. You have that choice, right? That
Exactly.
love means that okay, you care about the other person's
Yeah.
happiness, so
Yeah.
you're willing to let them go.
And plus, actually, if you practically meet a lot of like divorced women in their late 30s or 40s, you'll see how much fun they are
Absolutely,
having.
yeah.
They're so free because you're at a stage, you're still looking good, you're still smart, you know your finances, you've seen the different kind of men in your life, you know what you don't want, and then you feel like a queen. Like you have the world at your fingertips and you are having a great time. We actually have a group called D Company, which is a divorce
Wow.
company. Like, all of us friends, everyone tried getting married but nahi jama. We were friends and we like hang out and we are like so happy just being single. And
Where do you guys meet?
secret group.
Yeah.
So, what about you? What's your idea of love?
My idea of love. I've always struggled with relationships and commitment. I'm a very loving person. All the people in my life, they know me as a loving person. I'm kind of like a mom to all of my friends. I'm kind of like a mom to my parents also. That's the relationship that I see having with them. You know, I want to nurture them. I want to hear them out. I just want to comfort them. I've had a bunch of messy breakups. It's always the same pattern. I'm making peace with it, you know. I've decided not to pursue anything anymore. I just want to figure out what is my lane, and if I happen to meet someone in my lane, I think that should be good. I don't think much about love. It comes very easy to me. You know, when I look into the eyes of a cat, we have that connection. I know that cat feels safe with me. I feel safe with that cat, you know. That is also love.
Yeah.
It's kind of spiritual actually.
That's beautiful.
Let's move on to work-life balance. Work is a great distraction from ourselves, right? It's so easy to not switch off, because if my problem is my work, then I can constantly be thinking about it and I never have to sit with myself and introspect ever.
Right.
What is your relationship with work?
I work only so many hours a day. I don't believe in like this extra, I don't know how many 80 hours work week. I'm like, are 40 hours bhi zyada hi hai. There's too much work because you can't perform. You're just kind of there at work but not performing. So you have to get out, do hobbies. I play chess, I do fitness, I climb, I go for hikes, I swim, I do whatever else, dance. I've made it a priority to spend time by myself. I do not use my phone after 7 p.m. I keep it in the car niche, so I don't even have internet at home. I don't even have my phone at home after 7 to 8 p.m. I'm done. There's no way you can reach me or I can reach anyone. And next day I wake up, I meditate, I do everything. And then after that, I start my day at around 10 o'clock, where I then access the phone and access work. So for me, it's very important to take time away from whatever it is to purely focus on myself. Everything else is second priority. First is self-work towards self-realization. So meditation, spiritual reading, which I call sadhana, and sattvic food. I make sure that which is the number one goal of my life, to realize who I am, उसके लिए सबसे ज़्यादा effort and discipline. Work is a matter of, as I believe, is a result of the karmas. I'm not running the place. I am not the one doing all of this. It is
You're a medium for the
unfounded.
universe to,
Exactly.
fulfill its own agenda.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I am the conduit. I'm the river bed on which the river is flowing. So this is what I truly believe. So I try not to take like any kind of credit for anything I do.
Isn't it a constant battle between taking control and letting go of it? Isn't letting go of control scary?
It is, and being in charge is comfortable. You feel like, okay, I am driving the car, so now it will be better. Conditioning has been such that, okay, you're the leader, you're in charge, you have to be in the front, you have to say what is to be done, you have to make sure it gets done. But that's not how you need to operate. You can lead from behind, you can empower your people, ask people what they really want to do, empower them, and then get out of their way.
I want advice from you, right? Can you help me define the first couple of steps in letting go of this? Because I'm trying to do less work. I'm trying to delegate more. I'm trying to just be like, ठीक है, जो हो रहा है होने दो. It's fine. I don't have to worry about it. But I can't stop worrying about it.
So, do you meditate?
Not yet. I in the morning when I wake up, like for 5 to 10 minutes, I do Om chanting, and that's helping me start my day better now.
Yeah. First thing is to really stay in silence. And meditation for me is that, when you sit in silence, and yeah, there will be thoughts that will come and go, of course, and until you reach like a certain level of, I don't know, competency where you can be silent. You have this half an hour, and that half an hour is a date with yourself. And that half an hour is pure, what I call refuge of silence. And if that half an hour works, then 45 minutes, then 1 hour, and then at night 1 hour, and then suddenly the silence starts kicking in. And then once you kind of meet silence in your mind, we're just used to like a lot of thoughts and overthinking and that anxiety. We're, again, as you said, now we are familiar. And second is journaling. It's like opening the tap. जब बहुत पुराना tap होता है, पानी उसमें से गिरा नहीं होता है, there's junk. You just leave it open for some time and let the old water साफ हो जाता है. The Artist's Way, a very good book I read, Julia Cameron. Every day take 3 full-length pages and write. If you don't have anything to write, say, right, I don't have anything to write. So you'll start speaking to the page which never judges. You're not speaking to a person, you're not going to put that page any time on social media or Instagram or photograph it, no. In fact, she says, tear it and throw it.
Have you ever tried Vipassana? Because it sounds awful like that, yeah.
Yeah, man. I just came I went for a Vipassana retreat yesterday, for a 1-day retreat.
Oh my God.
Have you done Vipassana?
I've been meaning to, for the first time, yeah.
Oh my God, you must. You must.
I know I'm going to cry every day. I know I'm going to go there and I'm going to cry every day. But I'm ready to. Yeah.
What else, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, Vipassana is like what I would recommend to it has been the most life-changing thing. It is hard. It is 10 days without your phone only is hard. Then 10 days not speaking to anyone is
No eye
hard.
contact, yeah.
Then 10 days of less food than usual and different food than usual. And then 10 days of 10 hours meditation every day. Takes you out, sucks you out of everything that you know you're used to.
It's a jolt, you know.
It jolt, but it, you know, it takes you out of there, and where does it put you? With yourself. I mean, why is it so hard to spend 10 days just by ourselves? Do you know what it is like to not do in this world of hustle, as you were saying? We're so used to like, acha, what to do next? Nothing. Do nothing.
You know, I had a very rural upbringing. Like for 19 years, I lived in a village, and that was the life I knew. मैं मिट्टी खाई है, खेतों में घूमे हैं, घुटने छिल गए, ये सब. And it's been really hard for me to move to Mumbai and then adjust to the speed of things. It's like the circadian rhythm is completely off. It's 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and I'm still finding it hard to sleep. Right? On not every day, but on many days, you know.
Yeah.
And whenever I go home, just one day there, and I immediately start feeling sleepy by like 9, 10 p.m. And I'm like, okay, chalo, so jate hain. So, what do you think about this city? Like, how do you
Why do you think you feel like this?
thought about this? And you know, for me, I think it's like I'm constantly feeling that okay, this place, this city has more to offer, more to offer. What more is there? And like, okay, this city doesn't sleep, right? So even in the night, there's something
Exciting
there's
happening.
yeah, kuch aur ho sakta hai, you know. Even if nothing is happening, I'm just lying on my bed, but like it's like my body or my mind, it's craving something more. But when I'm back home, it's like I don't need anything else. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Is it this city only?
It is. Well, it is, I think, most cities with like this active nightlife and this like a city that never sleeps. I imagine Tokyo, New York, San Francisco, not so much, but yeah, like Berlin. So these places which give you the promise of 24 hours, it's very exciting. It's very like
Endless
raw.
possibilities.
Exactly,
Yeah,
you know,
endless.
and that's like the stuff that ambition is made of, right? I draw the line for myself, but I know many people who love it, and night brings in another energy. The day has a certain energy and the night has a different energy. Night has a wild, night has freedom.
Yeah,
Night is sexy, okay?
It is,
Day
it is.
is like the sanskari.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Night is a sexy. So, but night with it comes with all those ideas also. Okay, you can do whatever you want and everything is possible. So why
Worst
would you
decisions
sleep?
happen after 12 a.m.
Yeah. But isn't it so exciting to
It
be
is.
awake at that hour?
It is. But how do you find that balance between, you know, enjoying and going out of a way to try something new, and then also the peace and the stability that comes from staying in a routine? Like sometimes, like I know a routine will help my life so much, help my feelings so much, but I'm also like, it's
boring.
It's boring. It's very
Huh.
understimulating.
Yeah,
How,
yeah.
where's that balance? Or is there a balance?
Routine or discipline, which by itself, if you look at it, it looks boring, but through it, you can reach a certain depth, a kind of adventure you can't otherwise reach. Like, for example, if you just like we spoke, meditation or writing, if you write every day, then suddenly you've unlocked something in you, and that required discipline. That required you saying that, okay, you know, I could have just chilled at home or I could have done something else, but no, I'm going to continue doing what I've decided to do.
Yeah.
And that's how you've gotten this good at it, right? Like, so with any skill, that discipline which sounds boring, routine which sounds boring on the surface of it, actually it unlocks the possibility of a deep adventure. In the last 3-4 years, when I had routine, that actually now I can do a handstand, which is unimaginable. But I could do it because 3 years, every week, 3 times a week, I'm working on it. And so this unlocking can happen only through that kind of discipline and routine. And then you get hooked onto it, then you know why you're doing it. Then routine, you get excited about your routine. Like I'm looking forward to waking up at 5 a.m. tomorrow and then doing, because I want to see like what is the new depth I can touch in meditation, like that silence. It's just like, yeah, that's the ultimate drug without a drug. That's what psychedelics take you. Whereas in meditation, now you don't need to take anything. You can go there on your own. You've got your own vehicle.
That's really powerful. It's like taking back that control. Like, wow,
Exactly.
circling back. What's your relationship with your mental health? And if there's a history to it, if there's a journey to it?
It took me a long time to discover the language, the vocabulary to even describe my mental state or my mental health state. It started with anger. for some reason, I would have like episodes of rage and anger, which were uncalled for. I never understood where it stemmed from. And it kind of put me in a place of like, I don't want to be angry with you, but I can't help it. It's like something else has overcome. I am a little bit more high energy in general. So I haven't felt, what some people call depressive tendencies, which is to not get out of bed or not want to step out or not want to do something. There are days when I, don't want to meet anybody in the world, but I think of it as like my social battery is drained. And sometimes I just need like a day with myself in silence because work is too much of speaking to people and engaging with the world. And I like to not have too much to engage with the world on some days. I do get anxious. And of late, I realize that as I grow older and as work starts piling, and if I read too much about what's happening in the world, I get even more anxious. If I try to figure out like what's going on with my family, or my parents are growing older, my brother is doing too much work, so I suddenly start taking like extra stress, although that's none of mine to take. Everyone wants to do their startup, everyone wants to run their business, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh wow, this company raised this round of funding and this company is doing an IPO. But dude, it is insane, man. There must be someone who should say, ki bhai, don't do this. It is like shit show. You have to every day figure out how you're gonna run the show. You have to pay salaries, and if you're not doing sales, it's just insane. You're constantly in this state of like, will we be able to make ends meet? And then you have to enjoy this because you've chose this.
Yeah.
And so it is like a big paradox for me. I don't know why everyone wants to run their own business. I imagine the only good reason is jobs suck even more.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, how bad are things right now? I don't know.
At least I make my own problems,
Exactly.
Yeah. I am
I
in
don't have
charge
to
of
deal
my
with another.
misery.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't have to deal with another head.
How is the experience of being in your 20s different from, being in your late 30s or early 40s?
I think in my 20s, I was a little more reckless, a little more, sort of like free spirited. I was very aware and afraid of being judged. And so to prove it to myself, I was like, okay, no, I don't care. You're far more aware of how the world perceives what is successful, what is the right thing, how much should you earn. Somewhere in the 30s, I felt free. I felt light. Somehow the pressure that the world puts on you is relaxed. Or you come of age, you think it's chill, bhai main yehi hu. And you start expressing yourself, you start speaking your truth. And you're comfortable with who you are. You start getting comfortable in your 30s. You have a far deeper understanding of who you are, especially if you worked on yourself. Otherwise, you're carrying your own conditioning and baggage with you forever. I've seen people who are in their 60s also still just as concerned कि लोग क्या कहेंगे. I'm like, dude, you're 60. कोई कुछ नहीं कह रहा है.
Yeah.
तुम जी लो अपनी जिंदगी यार. अभी नहीं जियोगे, अभी भी तुम्हें डर है कि बाजू वाला क्या कहेगा, तो तुम कभी फ्री होगे. Late 30s, early 40s, if you've stayed fit, then you can call the shots. Then you truly don't care and you can speak things that you would otherwise not even consider. Like this kind of confidence, I would be like, oh, what will Arnav ask me? Acha, am I prepared? Can you please give me the questions in advance? I would write the answers. I would speak it in front of the mirror. I would rehearse to make sure that I sound smart but cool and intelligent but also humble. Like, it would be so much pressure to just speak.
You're playing the game then.
You're playing the game. Exactly. But in your 30s and 40s, you call the shots. You decide the rules of the game. How is it for you?
I often feel older than I am. I don't feel like a 23-year-old.
You don't give the vibe of a 23-year-old.
Father would always say this thing about himself कि उन्होंने कभी जवानी नहीं देखी, उनके बचपन के बाद सीधा बुढ़ापा आ गया. Like as a child, you're not aware, you don't give a shit, you're not even thinking, right?
Yeah.
You're just existing,
Yeah.
right? So from there, he went straight to responsibilities, and his father was sick, and he had to take over, and all of that. So I feel that for some reason I have also sort of absorbed that thing. He's a role model, right? So I want to live up to that standard, and I don't allow myself to be fully young. I don't know why. Maybe I don't enjoy being fully young because it happens so many times that I see people my age doing things that people my age do. And क्या बच्चे वाली चीजें कर रहे हैं लोग.
But
Yeah.
that's the thing, when you're in your 20s, the role models play such a big influence in your life. Have you ever questioned the fact that your dad is your role model?
I have started questioning it as of late. My circumstances are not the same as his. He had to deal with the struggles because there was no other option. He had to take charge and make things happen. And just because I look up to him and live up to his standards, that he's not imposing on me. I am only imposing his standards on me. Now I'm starting to see the effects of that. Now that it has taken shape in bad ways, now I'm like, okay, maybe I need to course correct. Maybe I need to be less wise. Maybe I need to be a little bit reckless.
You're 23 right now. What would you tell your 21-year-old self?
I would warn him about the allure of money and productivity and progress and achievement and success. And I would tell him that okay, it's not really going to make you happy. It's not what you need to be chasing.
You're fully over that, the allure of money and productivity.
I'm not. Even though I'm very aware about it right now, like I know, right? But even though I know, why do I still keep making those decisions which I know are going to make me unhappy, Why do I still pick up my client's call at 9? When I don't want to pick
So
it
what
up.
is the answer? Why do you do it?
Because then I'll be thinking about it. Because then I won't be able to stop thinking about it.
What are the other parameters with which you like? How do you look at yourself? Like, if you were to zoom out and look at yourself, what do you think you're doing really well?
When you've asked me this question, right, then I will be super spiritual. Ki, okay, I'm not doing anything. Okay, it's just, it's
The
just,
universe acting
yeah,
through me.
it's just like, it's not a Bollywood film. It's more like an indie film where there's a lot more crying and a lot more cribbing, maybe, right?
And what role does music and art play in your life?
Music and art is a way for me to experience emotions in a grounded way. I used to play 4 musical instruments. I like to sing, but
Dude.
ever since I started working, I've gotten further and further away from it.
How are all the talented people struggling? I don't know, man. Like,
I know if I got back to music, I would start feeling a lot much better. But it's harder now. It's harder
why?
because it's not productive.
Oh God, that's the lens through which we evaluate all our actions.
I realize how stupid that answer is, but
No,
but
it's
it's the truth.
true.
I actually feel that way. I feel like it's not going to be productive.
What do you think will happen if you're not productive and doing, like, let's say, wasting time or doing unproductive things like music and the arts?
I guess if I'm making less money, I'll have to depend on my parents. I'm worried that I'll be a burden on them. There's a part of me which wants them to chill out and them to relax and them to enjoy and let me take care of them. They have never asked this. They are like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, we're adults, we can take care of ourselves. What is wrong with you?
That's the thing. Don't you feel like we take up too much on ourselves? Like, you're prosperous.
It's like a drug, I think. Like,
Really?
even though I'm not enjoying, like, first time I did it, it was for enjoyment, right? But now it's a habit. Now I'm addicted to it. I'm addicted to progress. I'm addicted to making more money, right?
Are you really addicted to it, or you think it's the right thing to do?
Addicted to the idea of progress and moving up, having more things in my control. And paradoxically, I'm losing control as I do more and more of that.
What do you do for yourself which is not productive or profiteering?
I think when I go out on my bike, I feel really alive then. Because it's kind of meditative for me, the rumble of the engine, the clunk of the gears.
Yeah.
I feel quite free in that moment.
Then why, Arnab, why are you bothering with profiteering and productivity so much? It's like it escapes me because, I mean, I ask you because even at 40, I'm still on that path of like focusing more on profit and productivity. And like if we all continue like this, we're gonna like become machines and machines will be better than us, which they clearly are. What do you think is the cure? Like what should we do?
I think the answer is for me to have more and more conversations with more people, connect with them. Because when someone else validates it for you, look, now when you're saying it to me, right? Now there's an added depth to it.
Yeah.
Now it is a bit more meaningful. Okay, that this person feels this way and this person has this idea about it. So yeah, I have more leverage in my head to convince myself to take less stress and just enjoy more
Enjoy
now.
more.
I think it's easy to make money. I think it's easy to be moving upwards. When it comes to more important things like relationships or
Yeah.
like just doing something for yourself,
Yeah.
there's that extra
There's a
weight
risk.
that if I don't enjoy this,
Then to kya hi hai?
yeah, right? I think it's that.
You've really sampled a lot of different dishes of life, like creativity, business, work, village, city life,
Yeah.
the transit.
Yeah.
Well, this is a pleasure, Arnav.
Likewise.
And hope to have many more such conversations.
Great conversation. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for taking out the time.
Yeah.